Okay, so I've had some time to calm down since the episode. I'll admit, I was not okay for like a while. But with that said, hello everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another one of our weekly Fruits Basket, the final discussion videos. Today we're here to talk about episode 9, What's Your Name? For real this time. That's the actual episode title this time, I swear. But before we get into the video proper, quick reminder if you haven't done so yet, to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, set notifications to all, and let all of AniTube know that you're here. Let's go ahead and set the like goal this week at 200 likes. Let's try to aim for 200 likes before the end of the day. But with that said, everybody, let's go ahead and dig into this week's episode. So, wow. That's a lot. There's a lot to talk about this week. So much so that I actually did a whole reaction for it. I did a live reaction to Fruits Basket. I don't think I've ever done that. Maybe I have. I don't remember. But I did do a live reaction over on the website that starts with the T. And I chopped it up and put it on the second channel. So if you want to see my immediate thoughts, go check out the second channel. It's linked in the description. And if somebody could remind me to put it in the pinned comment, because I always forget, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, my initial thoughts were kind of all over the place. For the most part, it was a lot of me just screaming no over and over again. Like that's, and don't tell me that that's for real, because yeah, Toru does not have a fun time this week. There is no happy time with Toru until like the tail end of the episode. But for the most part, the biggest thing that I want to start with is Akito and Toru. These two steal the show this week, and it's why I think they're like this episode is why they're on the poster together, right? Like this is why it's the two of them in all the promo art, because this season really is Toru finally like getting Akito to understand. You know, like this episode is where Toru finally wins over the final Soma outside of Ren, because screw Ren. But yeah, Akito and Toru finally see eye to eye. And then Toru flies off the backside of a cliff, but we'll get to that when we get to it. But yeah, like this episode, it does open with Akito like attacking Toru, which like, ooh, I was mad, right? Like she doesn't like, well, I mean she does, right? Like she gets ready to attack Toru, and Toru, like again, just thinking the best of people, just kind of jumps out to her and says like, Akito, listen to me. And Akito's got a friggin' dagger in her hand, so of course that goes about as well as you think. And Toru gets her arm sliced up because of it. And I was like, geez, I'm not gonna lie, I was mad. I was like really mad. Because it's like, that's my girl. Do not scar my girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, do not like cut up my girl. There's no excuse for that. I'm still pissed about the Kureno thing. And then Akito has the gall, the brass, to walk up to Toru like that. Oh, I was pissed. I was so mad. But Toru just kind of responds by reading Akito like a book, right? Toru just lets Akito, like, just basically reads Akito the riot act, right? Like, just says, like, I know why you're doing the things you're doing, and it's because the reason why you're so stuck on things remaining the same, on this idea of eternity, is because you're scared. You're lonely and scared, and you know that things are falling apart, and the idea of being together keeps you feeling sane, when in actuality, like, you're just too damn scared to move on. You're too scared to let them go. And I spent most of this episode screaming like, Akito, let them go. Let my people go. You know what I mean? Just like, let the Somas go. You have to let them go. Like, the curse is over, right? Like, you need to let go. But Toru doesn't quite get through to Akito right away. Like, Akito still sort of resists, and it's not until Toru, like, really does, like, goes through this whole speech about how she understands what Akito is feeling. And Toru actually feels bad, saying, like, how could I sit there and watch her struggle and not do anything? And I'm like, because she's Akito, because she's awful. But, I mean, for the most part, right? She was, like, for the most part, Akito has spent the entire show being terrible. Right? So it's like, I understand how anybody, including myself, can feel furious with the character, and for the most part, I still do. Well, I'd say there's a part of me that still does. I don't know if it's the most part anymore, but, you know, I was still, like, pissed. right? And it's when, like, what kills me is Toru looking at her and seeing the, like, they're all gonna leave me behind, and then seeing Kyoko, and I'm like, no. Like, every time Kyo and Toru bring up Kyoko, I'm like, you know her better than the viewer does. You know she wouldn't say that. She wouldn't say that crap. But it doesn't matter if that's what she would say or not, because at the end of the day, it's what Toru and Kyo's mental baggage version of her is saying, right? Like, when Akito says, like, they're all gonna leave me, or, like, you're all gonna leave me behind, she sees not only Akito saying that, but Kyoko. And that broke my heart. But the idea that Toru understands where Akito is coming from is heavy, right? And it does lead to this beautiful scene where Toru says, like, she extends her hand and reintroduces herself and just says, like, hi, I'm Toru Honda, and I would love to be your friend. And it's like, oh, Toru's the best. Toru's the queen, absolute queen. There is no better JoJo protagonist than Toru. Toru is the absolute queen. And obviously, as I said, this doesn't exactly go well. The friggin' cliff that had the landslide will bring Toru down. But the landslide from, like, episode 1, that's where they are. And I'm like, if you watch the reaction, I literally say before it happens, can we please step back from the cliff? And then, like, 2 minutes later, it happens. And I was like, I knew it! But this time, it's not Akito's fault. Akito does not push Toru over the side like a certain horse girl. No, Toru just falls. And Akito, thank God, like, runs and finds somebody, because Akito knows, like, she'll die if I don't find somebody. So Akito runs and finds Shigure, but this ultimately leads to this really solid moment at the very end of the episode where Akito is standing outside of Toru's hospital room after having this big talk with Momiji, which we'll get into later, and then the friggin', like, the like, the ED starts playing, and Toru, like, extends her hand and has a big smile to Akito, and Akito just has this little smile and walks in. And to me, I'm like, yes, that's what I wanted, right? Like, I was like, yes. Like, I love that Akito finally just realizes what a shitheel she's been, right? And I'm like, this is great. Like, I'm actually genuinely happy. Like, I'm sure some other anime only, such as myself, and even some manga fans, right? Because not all manga fans have forgiven Akito, and I haven't either. But I'm sure some people are going to be like, no, I don't want any redemption for Akito, blah, 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 right? For me, it's not a redemption arc. It's more atonement, right? It's just Akito being like, I messed up. I've done horrible things. I don't expect your forgiveness. I don't. But I'm going to be a better person for me. And that, I have to respect. I absolutely have to respect that. Akito has been a privilege to watch on screen. Whether, like, you want to talk about Natsuki Take's writing of this amazing antagonist, you want to talk about the direction of the character from Yoshihide Ibata, or you just want to talk about the actual acting of the character from Maya Sakamoto, doesn't matter, right? Like, think about how many people it took to come together to deliver this on-screen portrayal of Akito and sell Akito not only as somebody worth hating, but by the time you get to this point, somebody who you can, at the very least, respect, right? Like, not even respect, but respect the growth. You know, do I respect Akito? I don't know yet. Not at the moment. But do I respect the decision to grow and evolve and change? Yes, I totally do. And I think they absolutely nailed Akito's journey. And it was genuinely a privilege to watch. I can't believe there's only, like, how many episodes left? There's 4 episodes left. This felt like a finale. You know what I mean? Like, maybe not like a finale, but, like, this felt like the penultimate episode of Fruits Basket. I don't even know what's left. Like, the fact that there's 4, I would have assumed this was, like, the second to last episode, the penultimate episode, right? Like, I don't even know where you go from here. I guess, like, there's still loose ends to tie up, right? There's still some things that we need to fix. We still haven't even dealt with the Ren situation yet. But to me, the big antagonist of the series was Akito. And with Akito seeing the error of her ways, and sort of becoming friends with Toru to an extent. Maybe not like besties or anything, but friends. To me, that's like a huge chapter of Fruits Basket is closed, and we're in the end game now. And it was just like everything about Akito and Toru was just friggin' brilliant. Like from Toru, just explaining how she felt bad for Akito, but not in like a pitying way. She actually felt like she did something wrong by not trying to be there for Akito, and how Akito realized that Toru was always right. Like the connection these two formed was brilliant. However, there's two other things that happen with these characters. We're going to talk about Toru's thing first. Kyoru is a thing. So, how does Kyoru become a thing? Well, Toru does just a real quick backwards dive off the side of a cliff. And it's the exact same cliff from the beginning of the show. So it all comes full freaking circle. And she lands on her head. And she's bleeding pretty bad. And I'll admit, like, when I was watching it, a part of me was like, don't do this. Because in my head, for a second, I was like, are they going to kill Toru? Like, I genuinely believed for a second that they might actually kill Toru, and that thought terrified me. Thankfully, though, obviously, Toru doesn't die, which would have been a really tragic end to a series like Fruits Basket, which is always emotional, but I feel like killing Toru would have been way too far. But Toru is pretty much knocked out, and we do see her wake back up in the hospital, so she's not like, it's not like everything was peachy keen. It's not like she's A-okay, like she's still really injured, but she's not dead, thank God. And what I find interesting is that Yuki finds her first, and then Kyo finds her. Again, really similar to the first episode. Like, Yuki finds her first, then Kyo, right? Like, the boys meet her in that order, and the boys find her and help her in that order. And Yuki is like a champ this whole episode, right? Like, he's not seen a whole bunch, but everything with him is poignant. Like when he calls Shigure like a creep, I'm like, yeah, well deserved. And then when Yuki gives Kyo and Toru some space, right? Like he lets them have their moment. He walks away because he knows that they're gonna need a moment. And Toru is giving this speech the whole time. Like when Kyo runs up, and I was pissed when I saw Kyo because I was like, if you didn't run away, this wouldn't have happened. But like Kyo shows up. And I'm like, run, Kyo. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not, like, actually mad at Kyo. I'm a little mad at Kyo, but he's forever my boy, so it's not like it's not like I like him any less. I'm just mad at him in that moment, because I was like, if he didn't run away. But, like, Kyo runs up and sees her and is completely distraught. And as he's, like, hovering over her, just like you gotta wake up, like trying to help her, he notices how much blood she's lost. Like, cause not only did she, don't forget, she got cut up on her arm, so she's losing blood there. She fell super far and landed on her head, and there's blood from the back of her head. Like, Toru ain't okay right now. And so Kyo's like freaking out, and this whole time Toru, sorry, my shipping brain. Toru is speaking and giving this speech about how, like, it's okay to keep walking forward and you shouldn't feel bad. And even if I'm not beside you, keep walking. And I was like, you're talking like you ain't gonna be there. Like, I was literally like, just, no, you are not allowed to go. Like, Toru, you're not allowed to just disappear from the show. Absolutely not. And thank God she doesn't. Like, because I'm like, just go to him. Go to Kyo. Right? Follow your dreams, Toru. Follow your heart. Believe in your heart. Listen to your heart when it's calling for you. Listen to your heart, Toru. There's nothing else you can do. I'm not gonna do the whole thing. But yeah, she wakes up. Thank God. But just long enough to kind of caress Kyo's cheek and tell him that it's gonna be okay. And she kind of passes back out again. And that's when we get the thing that you're seeing on screen. That's when we get the kiss. They kissed. Hooray. I wish it was under better circumstances. Like, I got the kiss. I'm happy, right? Like, I'm happy they kissed. We got the Kyoru kiss. Great. Awesome. I love it. It's great. However, I wish it was under better circumstances, because that broke my heart, because it's like it was a genuine kiss. Like, they both have admitted they love each other. This is real. This is happening. But that kiss was so bittersweet, because it's like she's not even like, it's not even like she's present enough to know that it happened, and Kyo doesn't even show up. Like, Kyo doesn't show up to the hospital or nothing. He just kind of is waiting. He can't bear to see her hurt, so he's not there. So that's like the last time we see the two of them together, and it's like, damn it! Like, I wish it was under better circumstances. I loved it, but I wish it didn't break my heart. You know what I'm saying? The other thing that happened this week, Momiji and Akito have a really good heart-to-heart. And I know it's probably funny to talk about Kyoru and then segue to these two characters talking, but if you've been with Fruits Basket this long, you know that these characters talking is about as hype as, like, anything in a shonen series. Like, I love shonen, it's my favorite genre. Not usually a shoujo guy, but that's the power of Fruba. Like, Fruba, it brings, like, the shoujo feelings, but with the hype of a shonen series, just by characters talking. So characters talking, even though it seems like, what? Momiji and Akito having a conversation? That doesn't seem important. It is. Because this little chat they have is great for multiple reasons. The first being, Kureno's alive! Like, that made me go like, oh, thank God, like, Kureno's alive. Oh, thank you, every deity. Like, that was a relief. That was a relief. Not gonna lie, I was very nervous for my boy. I was like, please tell me he's gonna be okay. Because we get the phone call, and Shigure just says, like, I see. Like, when he hears about Kureno. It was clearly bad. Like, he lost a lot of blood. Like, it was clearly bad. But he's alive, right? They say, like, he's not going to die. So it's like, okay, that's good. He's probably not going to be in the best shape. Neither is Toru, but they're not going to die. Which is like, okay, good. Yay. I like that. And you know what? Like, I know people say, like, aren't you the Wump guy? I enjoyed none of that. I am the Wump guy. I like seeing characters get beat up, because anime characters, when they're beat up, look more attractive. I'm sorry. I know that's weird. It is what it is. Did not enjoy it here. Watching Kureno and Toru get beat up was not fun for me. There was nothing enjoyable about that. But when Momiji and Akito have this conversation, it's revealed that Kureno is alive. It's also revealed that Akito thinks they're stupid. Because it's like, why aren't they mad at me? They both should be furious with me, and they're not. I don't get why they're not mad at me, right? And Momiji says, like, yeah, that's because stupid people are useful. And I was like, damn, Momiji, that's cold. But he didn't mean it cold. Like, what Momiji meant is that these people, other people might find them stupid, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that they have a big enough heart to forgive you. Some people call that stupid. If you're asking me, like, Momiji doesn't say this, but if you're asking me, that's not stupid. That's a good person, you know? Like, that amount of forgiveness is insane that Kureno and Toru have. And it's funny because people in the chat brought this up, and I believe Momiji says something akin to this, that the two people who everyone says are so similar, Toru and Kureno, end up being the two people who get hurt by the end of the series. But they're okay, thank God. But it's still a heavy moment that it's those two, the sweetest people in the show, that get hurt. But even after they're hurt, they still want to make sure that everybody's okay. You know, like, even when Toru's unconscious, she's still saying, who's crying, don't cry. Even when she's knocked the hell out, she's still thinking that. And Kureno is just making sure that Akito's okay. You know, like, that's where his attention is. That's where his focus is. And she doesn't understand. She's like, they should hate me. Why don't they hate me? And Momiji, you know, again, echoes, like, stupid people are useful, but also, if they're willing to forgive you, just focus on that. Like, they're gonna forgive you because that's who they are. You know, you should take that opportunity. And this is when Momiji sits down next to Akito and smiles, and I'm like, my boy is so wise. Like, Momiji, when he had his growth spurt, he gained like 10 to like a plus 10 to wisdom. Like, my boy, he had like every roll on every wisdom check for Momiji for the rest of his life will be a nat 20. Like, he's just, my boy is just like, his wisdom stat is just maxed right the hell out. it was always high. Like, Momiji always was really wise. Like, oddly the wisest of the Somas, despite his presence, right? Like, despite his former, like, small stature and all that. Momiji, and, like, his hyperactive personality, he was always the wisest. And now just the body matches. You know, like, now he's got, like, a body that shows that he's wise. You know, he's got the height to back him up. And when he sits down and smiles at Akito, I'm like, look how far my boy has come, you know? Don't forget, Akito punched this man in the friggin' face, and he's still sitting down smiling and saying, do you want to hear a story? And Akito says, okay, I'd love to hear one. And Momiji says, like, okay, but if I tell you, you're gonna want to see Toru, like, right away. And of course, it's the Foolish Traveler story, the story that echoes Toru's journey. And it's beautiful. Like, it's absolutely beautiful, and that's where we get the Akito and Toru ending, where they're friends. And yeah, man, it's beautiful. Is a lot to take in. It's a lot. But this episode as a whole, it's unlike anything I've seen. This episode had a little bit of everything that makes Fruits Basket work. I cannot stress enough that Takeya Sensei has this incredible power to rip my heart out, heal it, tear it apart again, and then heal it, warm it up, and put it back. You know, like, I've never seen a writer weave through the amount of emotions that Takeya can, and I've never seen a director weave together those feelings without having them feel disjointed. You know, like, the staff on this show are insanely talented. Like, both the cast and the crew. Like, it's insane how they managed to weave these things together. Don't forget, there's parts of this episode that make you laugh, too. There's parts that make you happy and parts that make you sad, and, like, all these different kinds of emotions, and they all blend perfectly. It's insane. This has to be one of the best episodes of the entire year. And we're only in spring, but this has to be one of the best shows of the episodes of the entire year. Not just counting, like, not just within Fruits Basket. Like, I'm not just saying the 3 seasons of Fruits Basket. I'm saying every show that airs this year. This is one of the best. Absolutely incredible. But with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here, so I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and set notifications to all. Let all of AniTube know that you're here. And before we go, as always, I want to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you'd like to join these beautiful people, there are 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button, or for just a single $1, you can check out that Patreon, the link in the description. Either way, it is super appreciated. So once again, a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. And that is it for me. I need to go calm down. I have a stream in 15 minutes. I gotta go calm down. Don't forget to check out the live reaction on the second channel. That's the kind of content I actually really like making. I'm not gonna lie, as much as I should make a video about this, as much as I love talking about anime week to week, I like doing it like that because I actually get live feedback from you guys. I still like making these kinds of videos, but I'd rather these just be design time videos, if I'm honest. I should make a whole update video about that, but yeah, go check out the second channel. I want to do more elaborate versions of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Bye!